5 narcissistic myths. I read a lot of views propounded about me and my kind, and I do so with considerable interest. I see many intelligent and well-reasoned observations about what we do and why we do it. Many carry considerable force. Other views are purely driven by the understandable anger and hurt that is engendered in people by us. Although, as I have repeatedly sought to explain, when one operates through emotion, poor decisions are made, and the clear picture is not observed. I have also come across comments which are made about us which are inaccurate. I am not referring to the disagreement that one might have in terms of an ad hominem attack against us. Many people consider us to be arseholes and bastards. I understand that viewpoint. Many of my kind would naturally disagree, but it is not that kind of value judgment that makes its way to becoming a myth about us. There are other, more important misconceptions. As part of my ongoing work in explaining what we are, why we do what we do, and your involvement in this narcissistic dynamic, it is just as important to explain what we are as to detail what we are not. With this purpose in mind, I turn to 5 myths about our kind. Number 1. We have no emotions. This view has gained some traction owing to the fact that my kind function with a considerable emptiness inside of us. The existence of this void can cause people to believe that because we are a shell and a husk, that we are devoid of emotions. The fact that we feed off other people's emotions also supports the view that we have none of our own. We need to steal the emotions that other people experience to enable us to feel. The fact is, we do experience and feel certain emotions. We experience annoyance, anger, and rage. Indeed, the churning fury, which is always there beneath the surface, ready to be ignited, is a prevailing emotion of ours. We know boredom, disgust, and loathing. We are very familiar with jealousy, envy, shame, and hatred. Malice, malevolence, anticipation, contempt, aggression, and power are further ones. Our stable of emotions is dominated by negative emotions. These are the ones which have been allowed to develop, and that is because the force behind these emotions has been harnessed to allow us to achieve our aims. Our hatred for being devoid of fuel drives us on to extract it. Our disgust at weakness causes us to always want to maintain superiority and strength. It is these emotions which make us effective and ruthless. By contrast, we do not experience joy or happiness, sadness or regret, serenity or love, remorse or guilt. These are alien to us, along with others. We have either never known them, or they have been stripped from us in order to allow us to operate with greater effectiveness, free from encumbrance and hindrance. We understand emotions because we want yours directed towards us. We understand how to mimic them, although some of our kind do not understand all of the emotions. And we understand when they should be exhibited. And again, some of our kind are better at this than others. But ultimately, we do experience some emotions, just nowhere near as much as you do. 2. Copying us infuriates us. No, it does not. If we are angry with you and we are shouting, if you decide to mirror this behavior, all you're doing is providing us with fuel. If you parrot what we say to you, if there is any emotion attached to it, even if it is said with sarcasm, sneer, or contempt, it is fuel. If you decide to fall silent because we have, we then realize that the silent treatment is not reaping the fuel that we expected, but it does not infuriate us. Instead, we will just switch to a different form of manipulation in order to cause you to provide us with fuel. You find it hard after a while to keep mirroring what we are doing. Your emotional capacity is such that it usually breaks through in some form, and thus fuel is provided. We also recognize what you are doing, and if you are giving us fuel, we will let you continue to mirror us. If you are not, your mirroring is not a criticism, therefore there is no wounding, but we will shift to a different behavior to cause you to provide us with fuel again. 3. We miss you when you are gone. No, we miss your fuel, not you. That is what we miss most of all. We may also miss the traits that we were able to steal from you and pass off as our own, and we may also miss the residual benefits that you provided, for example, money, a home, a car. It is something that victims of our kind find very difficult to accept. Surely some of what we said and did was genuine. It seemed that way, so surely it must have been. It must be the case that we like some things about you. We did. We liked the fuel, the traits, and the residual benefits. We did not care about whether you were humorous, save that your sense of humour was appropriated by us for the purpose of making us seem better with other people. The radiant smile is only missed because it gave us fuel. Your extensive knowledge about wine was again another trait which made us look better. Not only is it these things that we miss when you are gone, the simple fact remains that if we discarded you, we decided that you were no longer worth the effort in keeping around, and in most cases we had identified and seduced a replacement for you. With this person in place, we focus on them, only turning you to dole out malign follow-up hoovers, if you are getting in the way, or benign ones later when the replacement begins to turn stale. There is little doubt that you loved us with everything that you had, that you thought the world of us and nobody could have done for us what you did. But that is all from your perspective. Once we have discarded you, that all counts for nothing. You became a malfunctioning appliance, and you have been replaced. We miss nothing about you. If you escape, we will miss the 3 items that I have described earlier, and indeed we will look to recover them through the application of an initial ground hoover and follow-up hoovers. But do not think that our protestations of being unable to live without you, how we cannot imagine another day without you, and we miss you so much, have anything to do with you as a person. They do not. We are unable to live without your fuel. We cannot imagine another day without using your traits, and we miss your residual benefits oh so much. All of these declarations, pleas, begging gestures, and so forth, are only designed to recover the 3 principal reasons we attach you. You can tell yourself that we miss you terribly if it makes you feel better, but you are misleading yourself. 4. We hate being alone. There is no doubt we need people. We need people because we need the 3 principal benefits, chief amongst which is fuel. But that is not the same as saying we hate to be alone. In this instance, there is a degree of truth in the above statement, but it requires considerable qualification. If we have been well fueled, we are able to be alone, engage in solitary activities, and spend time in our own company without difficulty. Of course, the longer this goes on, eventually our fuel levels drop, and we will need to seek out people. But we do not hate being alone in such a situation. Furthermore, the advantages of technology mean that although we may not be physically proximate to somebody, the advantages of Skype, text messages, telephone calls, and even handwritten letters allow us to be on our own, but in contact with many fuel sources. Add to this thought fuel, and you have a situation whereby we can be physically isolated, but with such connections we can manage perfectly well, extracting all of these variable fuel types. Remove such connections, however, and in a situation when our fuel levels are already low and we are physically isolated with no means of contacting people, and that is when you shall see that we hate to be alone. 5. We have a conscience. We do not. We think only of ourselves, our needs, and how each situation can benefit us. We may appear to exhibit a conscience in order to con people, and this is something more witnessed with the mid-range and greater narcissist, in order to fit into a situation and to people's expectations. But we have been created without a need for a conscience. If we had one, we would not be able to trample on people in the way that we do. We would not be able to always be moving forward, never caring for what has gone before us. If ever you witness a situation where one of our kind appears to have had our conscience pricked, all it means is that we see an advantage in pretending that this is the case, and we wish to dupe you and others for our own benefit.